what it is. Y'all have just joined another episode all about Sim Eyes. How about you out there, drivers? Can't see you. Yeah, made it back home. Tour is done. I'm getting ready to put the truck down. As I was telling you guys, I got some oil leaks and I need to change my DPF filters. Just some maintenance, man. I gotta go through. So plus, I got to definitely fix the leaks for my DOT inspection, so I can send that off to them, let them know that I have addressed those issues. And I'm just gonna put the truck down and just go over some things that I just need to go over. It's been a while. The truck's been running great, for the last 5 years. Seriously, it's been running great. I haven't had any major issues with it since that one time that the oil manifold had broke. And you guys remember that. I did the video of that several years ago now. And I don't know what happened, but lost my audio. But yeah, no DEF problems or anything like that with the truck. So everything's been good. But if y'all know anything, y'all know how I am about idling my truck and, APUs and all that. So I've not really ever had, knock on wood, no problems in that area. And most of the stuff, you guys know, I'll do myself anyway. And this stuff, I'm not sure if I'm going to do everything myself or not, but I know I want to do the rocker box seal. I want to do the front main seal. And then I'm going to look and see what other ones that may be there that I got to address. So kind of up in the air about if I'm going to do everything or not, amongst other little knick-knack things. So that's a quick cap on that. So I just picked up all the parts for the truck from the dealer. And let's get into this. So in 2024, what I get into trucking right now? Well, absolutely. And here's how I would do it. Before I would even consider it, I would look at the market and look at what rates were 3 years prior, maybe even 4 years prior to what they are at the current time. Assuming we're in 2024, right? And what you gotta look for is to understand that what were the rates then and what were the rates now. Because if you ask anybody right now, they're gonna say, no, don't do it. The rates are down, trucking sucks, blah, 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 blah. Rates are down compared to COVID, yes. But if you do your due diligence and look, you'll see that the rates have been pretty kind of steady as to what they were pre-COVID. $1.60, $1.70, $1.80. There was some $2 and $3 loads back then, and I'm gonna say 2018, 2017. So with that information, now you know what kind of to expect, or what you're going to be expecting going into this, because what's going to determine a lot of that is your overhead, which brings me into my next piece here, is that I would come in with either paid equipment if possible, or I would come in with a piece of equipment that, one, is reliable, and two, I can afford to pay monthly. The one good thing is that truck prices are actually coming down, and I'm actually going to be getting real heavy into the trucks and prices and things in some of my upcoming videos, so stay tuned for that. But more so going to be in the first of the year. But I would definitely, look at the type of equipment I'm going to get and how I'm going to come in with that equipment, because that's going to play a big part too. You need reliable equipment coming in, and you also need equipment that you can afford. So that's going to be, my number one priority if I was to be coming into trucking right now. You guys know I like to do a lot of my own work. Can I work on this truck? Is it something I got to constantly take to the dealer for every little thing? Especially if you're a handy guy, right? Kind of handy. You want to be able to do some stuff on your own truck, right? So some of these new trucks, they're almost making it impossible for you to do anything on them. So with that being said, now once you have that and you're armed with that, now you got a better fighting chance of starting off good in this industry. The other thing I will look at before I get into the market right now is where I'm going to be running. Where is the freight at in my area? Because everybody's going to be starting in different areas, right? But I will be looking at, in my area, how am I going to run? All this before I even think about getting the truck. Because if you're out of South Florida like I am, or rather North Florida, just Florida in general, getting freight out of Florida is just, tooth and comb. But if you're going to run in Florida, then that's a whole different animal in itself. If you're going to run regional, you're going to run OTR. And what I find is that places like up north, bigger cities, Illinois, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Indiana, Atlanta, that area, running local and regional, you can do that. You can definitely do it and make pretty decent money. The thing is, you got to know, is that going to be solely how you are running? Okay. And then what kind of equipment you're going to run? Are you going to run flatbed? Are you going to run reefer? What are you going to run? Dry van? All those areas, rates are different respectively depending on where you are. Because you can go and get a reefer and then you're like running out in the Midwest and then trying to figure out why you're not successful, and now you got a truck that you're not profitable on, and you're either going to end up doing power only or getting rid of that reefer and grabbing you a different kind of equipment. So the areas that you run in is going to be good or bad depending on your equipment. And this is why I'm going back to the equipment and why I'm reiterating the equipment, because you could have that same reefer and be running in Florida, and you'll be doing great coming in and out of Florida, especially in the summer months and the produce months, summertime, watermelons and things like that. Reefers are great. Now, reefers are doing really good right now, and even in this market, because reefers, always need food. We're always going to need that food, right? And you'll always see that food is doing good. Cold, refrigerated things are always going to be, but they just have their peaks in different seasons. So know your equipment. I would definitely know my equipment if I decided to get into this right now. Also understand that you need to know where you are financially. I would get into this knowing if I had a good financial backing that I can afford to jump out there and see, how it's going to play out. Which also brings me back to my next point. If I was just a no frills, nothing guy, credit wasn't good, and I wanted to get out there and just see with the least amount of risk, I would jump out and I would lease a truck with a company. Now, a lot of people are going to say, no, don't lease. But hear me out. We're not leasing this truck with the anticipation of buying a truck. That's not the goal, because you're trying to get out here and see if this is really what you want to do, right? So why not go into a walk-away lease? But more importantly, go into a lease that you can actually book your own freight. Because the reason is, we're not trying to buy the truck. We're not trying to, if you stay in long enough and you make it through that and you actually get the truck, you're going to be a rare breed. But the point of this is, we do that because it's less risk. You can get out there and see what the rates are looking like, see what the lane is that you're running. And when I say lane, for those guys that don't know, that's the area that you're running, the corridor that you're running. From Florida to Pennsylvania could be a lane. So, you get out there, if you're leasing a truck, the risk is pretty much on the company that you're leasing from. And I mean, you go to a company, you lease a truck from them, no money out of pocket, no money down. They put you in a truck. Some of them will run you, you know, they'll dispatch you and do your booking. You don't have that option to book your own freight. But what they will do, they still will send you a rate con and tell you, you know, you can see what the rate is, or they'll call you and say, hey man, I got this load, it's paying this, you know, do you want to do it? We do that to get the experience, so you can get a kind of like a little bird's eye view of what is out there. So leasing, walkaway leasing is a good option to see what the market is. I wouldn't recommend staying into it a long period of time if you don't have intentions on buying the truck, or you're not going to stay in that truck. But it's a great opportunity to learn the business and learn what rates are looking like before you decide to jump out there and get your own truck. Because once you jump out there and get your own truck, you're committed to those payments, you're committed to that truck. Even if you pay it off, you're still committed to that. So that's another way that I would come into it if I was just to know, you know, didn't have any backing or collateral, just to see what is actually happening in the industry. But I would definitely get into trucking right now. I don't think with any business, you know, this is my opinion, I think a lot deeper than most people. And I don't say that to, you know, take shots at anybody, you know, because people are like, what do you mean most people? But when I say that, I really mean, like, I really think deep about a lot of things before I make a lot of moves. And I just feel like in business, there's no good or bad time to get in any business. I think that the more important question is how you're going to stand out, how you're going to make your business more profitable than the people that are not. You know, a lot of people told me I didn't know what I was doing when I, you know, got out of school and became an owner operator in less than just 4 months out of school. And then when I got my own authority after leaving Landstar, you know, I was bashed. I was told I didn't know nothing about what I was doing, and you know, I'm going to be out here with the, you know, the liars and the brokers that steal from you. And well, that was happening at Landstar. So you know, I don't know, but you're going to have brokers, and brokers are going to lie to you. I don't care where you are, who you're working with. Some of these companies that you lease onto, they don't even give you the legit rate con sometimes. So it's still a gamble. And that's why I say I look at things, how can I use those things as tools, and how can I use those things to benefit my goal? Because my goal, when I did my lease purchase, and I got videos up there, when I did my lease purchase, my mindset wasn't to buy the truck, because I knew the lease was so high. I was paying like $1,000, $1,100 a week. And if you don't work, you still got to pay that lease. You got to pay that $1,000, even if you ain't been working, right? So I knew for me, it was an experience thing. And then what people don't realize, for me, when I went to Landstar was the next and last level to really being on your own and learning how to make relationships so that you can be successful out here. And Landstar allowed me to do that. It wasn't an end all be all for me. So when people, you know, bash you about the decision you make jumping out here, you got to have thick skin and be strong enough to push through that, because that's another thing about jumping out here. You know, you're going to be searching on the internet, looking around for stuff, and take things that everybody are saying with a grain of salt, and do your own homework, and know that you can depend on you. You know how you're going to run. You know if you're a lazy person or you don't want to be out on the road, you know that. So you got to understand that if you're the type of person that don't want to run and get out there and run and be home, and you think you're going to make all this money running locals, just jumping out here, just starting out with a new authority, because a lot of people ain't going to want to work with you because you're new. It's going to take you at least 6 months to a year to really get brokers to even work with you. You'll get some that work with you, but more than often, most of them are not when you're first going to be new. But there are some that will. I've done it. But if you don't want to run and you think you're going to be making, you know, crazy money running local or whatever in your neighborhood, that's going to be a recipe for disaster, because you got to be willing to get out there and do what it takes to make the money you need right off the bat. You got to be willing to do that. But as you do it, it'll get old. It'll get easier, rather. It'll get easier as you get age under your belt. The other thing you got to take too is that what about all the expenses? Know what your expenses are going to be when you jump out here. I will look at what the insurance rates are going to be for sure. Are the insurance rates up, or are they going to be down? And that's going to really depend on where you live, right? And I said this before too in one of my other videos. That is really going to depend on where you live. But insurance rates still fluctuate up and down depending on your situation, right? So in your area and the type of equipment that you got, you know, and whatnot. So it's kind of like one of those things where insurance could either get you going, or insurance could get you out the game before you even start. Trust me, it almost happened to me. You know, I got out there and they told me $38,000, $30,000 for insurance, and I said, whoa, you know, and ended up settling out for $28,000, man. But again, insurance will make or break you jumping out. So these are some of the things that I would do if I did get back into the business, and how I would do it. And I hope that definitely helped somebody get a little better perspective on how I would come out here if I did. Other than that, man, I'm gonna leave it at that, and we'll revisit this again. We will revisit this again. All right, peace out.
Later.